Welcome to episode 1 of the Global X Innovation Series, a 3-part breakdown of the investable opportunities shaping the future from the ground up. My name is Marc Jocum. I'm a Senior Product and Investment Strategist here at Global X ETFs, and today I'm joined by Justin Lin, an Investment Strategist here at Global X, where we're going to be unpacking the material segment, Justin, and really explore how it fits in this broader innovation universe.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Justin, question 1. Most Aussies, when they think about investing in materials, they think about these big diversified miners like BHP, Rio, Fortescue, etc. And, my question to you is it really a good way to think about investing in materials? And could there be other ways that Aussie investors could invest in materials today?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. I think if you're thinking about investing in materials overall, diversified big players like BHP, Rio Tinto, probably much safer than your, solo mining stocks, specky mining stocks that focus on a single metal or something like that. But I think the big change nowadays is that 10, 20 years ago, when you're investing in commodities and metals, it was really a reflection on how the economy is going overall, right? If there's a big Chinese demand for iron ore prices go up. So it was a pretty boring field to look at. It was more of a up and down with inflation and something like that. But nowadays, materials and commodities are getting a lot more exciting. I think investors are thinking about them more as a future-facing, more growthy type of area. And the reason that is because a lot of these metals, a lot of these commodities are playing major critical roles in these huge megatrends.
Let's double click on that because you're talking about megatrends. So I'd be really keen to hear your thoughts on what are the types of materials that you think are really essential to this innovation theme or artificial intelligence technology per se. And because there's so many different materials out there, do you have any ones or favorite ones that you're the most bullish on in particular?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think there's some intuitive, obvious winners here when you think about megatrends like AI or like robotics. And just to really hone in on AI, because it's been such a big talking point over the past 2-3 years. When you think about data centers and how much energy that they need and the strain that they're putting on electrical infrastructure in the US, right, for example. An obvious winner there that I see is obviously copper, right? You need a lot of copper. And very rapidly because there's so much demand for AI data centers, and that copper is there to build out the wiring, to build out this equipment that is required in these computers. So that is an obvious winner there. Then, there's the other element where we're talking about clean energy. So we don't want dirty energy powering these AI data centers. We want clean, consistent energy. And that, to me, sounds like uranium and nuclear energy, right? So nuclear energy, clearly over the past 2-3 years, gaining a lot of attention around how it's got clean, consistent energy. So uranium definitely a beneficiary there. And then finally, I think a material that a lot of investors are not thinking about is rare earths. And rare earths is around, a super critical material, and it's a combination of very exotic materials that are used to produce magnets, that are in EVs, in robotics, all sorts of high-tech, advanced technologies. And sorry, just to mention one more, lithium. I think lithium a little bit undercovered these days, but when you think about clean energy sources that are not uranium, not nuclear, like wind or solar, these are things that can turn on and off, right? So wind is not consistent. Sun goes under sometimes, right?
You need
every
that dependable energy, right?
Exactly. So you need batteries to power these AI data centers. EVs need batteries as well. So there's a huge demand drivers there in terms of lithium.
That's great. And it sounds really exciting. Obviously, this huge energy transition. I mean, you talked about, what it used to be Dr. Copper, really related to economic activity.
Exactly, yeah.
Now it's related to a lot more. So Justin, as an investor, how should they get exposure to these sort of things? And, most people would probably pick individual stocks, but perhaps is there another way to go about this?
One of the biggest innovations, I think, in the past few years in terms of investing in materials is these ETFs that either hold the metal directly or invest in a basket of miners that target a specific metal. And I think that is really interesting because if you think about, derivatives, they can be complex. Single companies, there's idiosyncratic risks, right? If the mine goes under or if there's an earthquake, suddenly you get hit hard and your investment does poorly, even though the underlying commodity prices are going up. Whereas ETFs, it actually has this weirdly perfect effect where if a single miner, let's say a major miner of copper, experiences a lot of disruptions, it actually pushes the underlying copper price up and then makes the profit margins for these other miners inside of that ETF much higher than they would be otherwise. And so the overall effect of this once negative impact on a major miner is actually positive for the overall basket. So that is something I think is very, very interesting for investors to consider.
And Justin, you mentioned getting access to these baskets. So Global X being a leader, particularly around commodities and these materials and the energy transition side, what are some of the key funds that, we specialize in that investors can look at to get exposure to this area?
Yeah, absolutely. We are an expert in terms of commodity ETFs in Australia, so to speak. So in terms of the few commodities I've talked about, uranium, we have the Global X Uranium ETF under the ticker code ATOM, ATOM.
Yep.
For lithium, we have one of the biggest lithium funds in the world in Global X Battery Tech and Lithium ETF under the ticker code ACDC.
Love that ticker.
Very fun ticker, yeah. And then for copper, there's the Global X Copper Miners ETF, which invests, like I said, into that basket of miners that are targeted on copper, and the ticker there is WIRE, WIRE.
Beautiful. Thank you, Justin, for taking us around the land into the world of materials. And thank you for joining us. Stay tuned for episode 2, where we're going to go through the different layers on the artificial intelligence side, a very, very big topic. If you're looking to find out more information, either tune in for that episode or jump to our website, www.globalxetfs.com.au/innovation. We look forward to seeing you then.